Welcome to Spiritual as Fuck,
Spiritual as Fuck,
a podcast where we explore everything outside of the ordinary. I'm Liz Volpe. I'm a social entrepreneur, now psychic medium, teacher and mentor, with a huge passion to inspire people to dream big and change the world.
I'm Diane Driscoll, a coach, facilitator and speaker. I'm also a psychic intuitive, learning to incorporate my spiritual gifts into my life and business.
We're here today to share real and raw spiritual stories. It's going to give you a safe space to challenge what's normal and have some serious fun along the way.
We hope you're ready to get spiritual as fuck. Today is Halloween, so we are releasing episode 22 2 days early. We had to find the perfect guests for our Halloween special, and boy did we find them. Lisa and Pru, otherwise known as Paranormal 1111, are psychic medium duo based in Victoria, Australia. They are paranormal investigators and real-life ghost hunters. They investigate paranormally active locations with their psychic gifts and customized equipment to provide evidence of life after death. Everyone has a story to tell, and Lisa and Pru are here to help those stories get told. This is a fascinating episode, even for the scaredy-cats amongst us. We just know that our listeners will have some of their own amazing ghost stories, so stay tuned as we have spooky stories competition happening all of this week. Check out our Instagram at spiritual.a.f.
Okay, so welcome everyone to our Halloween special. Dropped early, especially for this very special date, this spooky date that Diane and I are so excited about, aren't we, Diane?
Very, and a bit nervous.
Yes, and we'll get into the scary stuff soon. Before we get involved today, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone that has been sending in our 5-star reviews and these incredible testimonials through Spotify and Apple. I kind of feel like we have to have these pinch me moments where we're like, is this about us? Is this our podcast that's getting these reviews? Yeah, and it's just really beautiful. So thank you so much, and definitely keep them coming. Keep talking to us via Instagram, and obviously it's been so cool to get to know some of the community through our channel events. So if you haven't been to one already, I definitely suggest you jump on, because it's good to even just chat with someone instead of just chatting with you, Diane. Really?
She gets bored of me. She really does.
I know. Oh God, no, we could talk for hours.
True.
Okay, anyway, let's get to it. So, how can we go past Halloween on our first year of business as a podcast without talking about ghosts? How? So today is the day. We've waited all of this time. And yeah, there is nerves there, definitely. We have 2 very special guests today. I just want to call them ghost hunters just because that's my name for them, but they are paranormal investigators. And we're going to delve into what that actually means. So be prepared. Go and get yourself a cardigan or a rug or something that makes you feel cozy and not scared at all. Hopefully you're not watching or listening to this at midnight. Don't be too scared though. We're going to share lots of stories and it's going to be super interesting. But I think going back to myself and Diane, this is a special episode for us purely because we have genuine fear around this notion of ghosts. I know that Diane is very similar to me. As a young girl, I grew up, and now I realize that I was able to sense spirit and ghost around me from being very, very young. So growing up in an old Victorian house with my dad was super scary. Now I'm talking like if I had to walk up the stairs on my own, I mean, it would never be a walk. I would bolt up there like Forrest Gump style, and I would feel someone behind me. I would slam the door. I would feel spirits walking past the window, and in my head, I would be speaking to them and willing them to go away. So it was really interesting growing up because this fear was so strong. And every adult around me would say, Liz, it's just your imagination. And, mums and dads, they want you to be able to sleep at night. They don't want you laying in bed feeling scared. But I just got this fascination with ghosts because of my fear. And it was almost like I went out of my way to search for evidence and validation that other people could feel what I felt and believe in what I believed. And that came about simply, when I could first ever buy books, it would always be ghost story books. And I would read them and be stuck into them. And I mean, it was bloody stupid. It used to petrify me a hell of a lot more. But yeah, that fascination was always there. And, to this day, for some reason, even as a medium, the idea of a ghost and a spirit, actually seeing it or feeling it, and the idea of a poltergeist, Jesus Christ, I mean, I can't even say that word really without shaking in my boots. It just terrifies me. And Diane, I know that you're similar, right?
Similar in that I'm a big scaredy cat now, but I wasn't. Like when I was growing up, and maybe it's an Irish thing, a lot of Irish people love a good ghost story. Like it's in our DNA that we tell each other ghost stories. And my granny was loved ghost stories, loved books on it. She had like bookshelves full of them, and like her eyes would light up with glee if someone came into the house with a ghost story. So I used to be fascinated with it. And as I got older and older, I just felt like, oh no, I started to get more afraid of things. So I am fine to walk through a graveyard at night. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Really? Doesn't bother me in the slightest. I actually find a sense of comfort in that. But give me a creepy old house or a hotel or a jail, those things, they really, they scare the bejesus out of me, to use an Irish phrase. But one of the things that I find fascinating at the moment is my daughter is so into this kind of work. She's 13 and loves everything to do it. And I can't watch the things that she watches on YouTube. Of course, I observe, I monitor, but the fact that she's into what I was into at her age, I kind of give her a bit of latitude to be into it and take it with a grain of salt and just, be somewhat mindful of her own presence with it. But I am such a big scaredy cat. So that's why I'm a wee bit nervous about introducing our guests. But I know that I'm in safe hands, and I know that they are the consummate professionals at what they do.
And they're not going to scare us at all. No.
Not at all. Not at all.
So I want to sleep tonight. All right. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you all to our ghost hunters this evening, Lisa and Pru. Welcome to the show, girls.
Hello. Hi.
Now, I think the first question that we need to start with, and Lisa, let me start with you. Tell me what a paranormal investigator actually is. What do you guys do?
Okay, so a paranormal investigator is someone that actively goes out to seek evidence of the afterlife. So to contact spirits or ghosts, spirits, the people that once were living that have now passed over, and they may be at a location. So our aim is to go to that location and investigate. Now, Pru and I are both mediums as well, like yourself, Liz. So we've got those sensors we use as well. And also we use equipment to try and scientifically document any evidence that might be there. But it is really seeking out evidence of the afterlife and actually contacting people that have passed over and hopefully telling their stories.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I can't even think of anything worse, to be honest.
I love the investigative side of it. That's what appeals to me. It's like, oh, it's an investigation and you're looking for evidence and like you're on a mission, but I'm probably afraid of what you're going to find at the end of that. I would love to know. So before we go into the details of the work that you do today, Pru, for you, how did you get into this? So Liz and I have shared, our kind of early experiences of what we thought about ghosts, but something obviously sparked in you to say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where my life's path is leading me. How did you get into it?
I have always been into it. I've always been fascinated with death. I guess when my daughter was born, just seeing her intuition like around spirit and talking about spirit that had passed made me start to believe a lot more. And I guess my friends and I were always on little ghost investigations and checking out buildings, and obviously it's got stronger along the years. As I've become a medium, I actually have gotten stronger with it, and we have got more evidence along the way. And yeah, it's just been, yeah, it's hard to deny, like when you've had certain things happen, and yeah, my daughter couldn't make stuff like that up.
So tell us about your daughter. I'm really interested to know about this then.
So
tell us everything.
So from the age she could talk, she was always talking about Grandma Ghost, which was my great grandmother. So she never even met her. So yeah, it was kind of from there on, she gathered my family as they crossed over, and she'd talk about them while they, part of the grieving periods. And it just really made myself and my family believe in something on the after side. So
that's beautiful, though. That's such a lovely connection to be able to do that, and particularly when it's personal, it's family. And I think that's where, for me, sometimes that differentiation between spirit and ghost. So it's like I feel comfortable enough chatting to Liz about what she does, but when I think of the term ghost, it's something that I think about is going to scare the crap out of me. So it is that differentiation. So where did it come to be interested in the more like what I'm terming a ghost, or that thing that is not necessarily a family member, or what even is a ghost?
Well, it's just people that have passed over to me. And I know lots of people have passed over who haven't been able to tell their story. So I work with people in this lifetime, and a lot of them haven't been able to tell their story yet. And I know that majority of people like that were, in certain specific places and stuff, and they passed away, were never able to tell their story. So to me, it's about storytelling. And it's if you think about mediumship, you go to a medium for a reading, it's really no different. You're connecting just with someone who wants to come through and tell their story.
I love your explanation. Absolutely. Because you think of, even every speaker, every communicator has a story to tell, every living person has. And then sometimes we're trapped on the other side, or there's something that is just, we need to be able to tell, or we need to be able to communicate to be able to move on. And, your work is obviously bringing that out and giving people that opportunity, or giving, ghost spirits the opportunity to be able to do that. That's a beautiful way. And I love that we get educated along the way with every guest we have on the show. So thank you for that. Lisa, for you, how did you first get fascinated or into the whole ghost hunting side of things?
Well, I'm like Pru. I guess I've always known there's something always been there, but I didn't realize when I was younger that the things I was sensing, not everybody else was. Like I was used to feel my grandma around, which is my mum's mum, and it used to freak me out. Like you ladies were saying, you'd go to bed at night, and that's when things would kind of, I'd be laying there wide awake like this, and I couldn't sleep, and I get upset, and I have to go and sleep with mum and dad, and I always knew there was someone there. And it's just carried on and on and on, and I'm like you. I think I can't remember if it's Diane or Liz that would buy the magazines or watch the films and scare myself even more. So I used to spend my like weekly pocket money on buying this magazine that would terrify me, but I just had to have it because I just obviously subconsciously I knew there was something there. And I used to watch all the horror films, scare myself, but I was just constantly fascinated, and it's obviously led on to where I am now. And it's just gradually worked its way along. I used to go to ghost tours. I'd watch other paranormal investigators on YouTube. I couldn't get enough of it. I was always watching it. My son is nearly 11 now, and he's like, "Oh, you're watching those ghost things again, Mum?" I'm like, "Yes, it's okay." So like your daughter, Diane.
Yeah.
And I think I got to a stage in life where I was just like, I just have to do something with this. This is so important. It became more and more part of my life. And then along the way, I've met Pru. And of course, Liz, we met you through, a development course. And it's just come out from that. And in the space of a year, we've just progressed to where we are now. And it's just, we feel like spirit has our back. Everything is just falling into place at the right time because we feel we're doing it for the right reasons. And we're fascinated. We love what we do. So
just sounds like your calling. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. And even just the fact that you found each other as well, like your paths were meant to cross to do this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One thing that I'm really interested in, because I'm super sensitive to energy. So there's places that I'll walk into, and what's coming to mind at the moment, I always remember this point of walking into a bookshop in Fremantle in Perth. And as my foot even crossed over the first step, I froze, and it was almost like someone threw me back out of the shop. And it was absolute terror. I felt, and the energy was so dense and so heavy. It was physically impossible for me to step through that door. So to me, that comes across where I was like, I know that place is haunted. Yet I can walk into my house or, many, many other buildings and not get that sense there. As a medium, I can connect with a spirit, but what's the difference, what's the difference between the spirit that's hanging out in the bookshop? Is a spirit, a spirit stuck in energy, they can't cross over? Like, what's the definition? Pru, can you try and have a go at answering this for me?
I just feel like in certain places, some spirit just don't want you there.
Really?
And you might, I just think your energy might be too high or something, and they just don't want to be bothered. I don't feel like they're trapped, or I feel like they're just hanging out, like, they're happy.
I'm guessing from speaking to you guys, you've already told me beforehand that you can actually go and do an investigation anywhere and connect with the spirit. And that's where I was kind of wondering this, well, how come I can sense, this real dense energy in some places and some not? So, I mean, that makes sense, really, Diane, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And
Have
I'm
you
thinking,
ever had that before?
We've recently interviewed Judea Lynch, a lady from Hawaii, and she spoke about having spirits that were going through on this track in Hawaii, and it was literally they were exiting the earth. Like, I mean, it was, and she was in their way. She was like a physical presence that was in their way of their path, and it was like they were almost looking at her as if to say, "What are you doing here? You're in my way." Like they were getting annoyed with her, whereas she was thinking, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be." So it sounds like that. It's almost like if, like, for both parties, you're in a place where you're not expected or not wanted, and if you're operating at different vibration levels or different frequencies, then it is that kind of, there's a mismatch of the energy. What I didn't realize was I would have been like Liz. I would have thought that maybe if something horrific, traumatic had occurred, that maybe they were stuck in a loop or stuck in a place in time. That's my only interpretation for it. So I love that you're able to shed a different perspective on that, Pru.
That's interesting. And Pru, why do you think that some spirits, I guess, act differently towards humans? Does it come down to the same reason, if things are moving around, or, I always remember my auntie sharing stories because she worked in England in a big, very old National Trust house. And there was this one particular bedroom that no matter what happened every day, the bed would be slept in, and they'd have to make the bloody bed every morning, and it was kind of a joke. To me, it was horrific. I'm thinking, who's sleeping in the bed? But how are spirits able to do this type of stuff? I guess it takes a lot of energy to like move things or do things like that.
Some spirits are really, really strong. I don't know, Lisa and I've had a few different experiences, haven't we?
Yep.
Where we've kind of felt like we've stepped in on someone that's still living, but they're not.
Wow.
They're still in their work roles. On several investigations we've been on, they're still actually the same people they were here on Earth.
Right.
That makes
So
sense.
is it like they don't realize they've passed? Is that so they're continuing on?
Or
the things?
did they pass? I don't know. Like it's
Okay.
kind of just opens your mind to more and more. Like it blows you away when you sort of investigate.
Can you see my jaw drop? It's like that one blew me away.
I mean, visually in my mind, you should have seen what was going on then. Like, wait a minute, like different dimensions, different places, different times.
Oh, yeah. When you get told off for being in a certain spot because someone's still working there.
So there's even that's like alternate realities occurring as well. It's like, did you pass? Oh, okay. This has opened up a whole new set of fascination. This is good because I've now shifted out of fear into fascination.
No, I think that scares me more.
It's fascination.
Yeah, I love that. So is there any particular story, like, I mean, a specific story rather than a general one that really stands out as being something that either kind of shocked or alarmed you, or kind of something that even pushed you to your limit?
Me, yes.
Well, both of
Yeah.
you. So Pru, if you want to go first, but I think Lisa, it'd be good to hear both of your perspectives
Yeah.
on this.
So we've both got a personal story each. Mine was an investigation with my friend she's our debunker. So she does our spirit box and that, and kind of settles us to the ground when something happens. And I was out with her because we're always looking for new spots so Lisa and I can go and film. And it's an actual burial ground, but not many people know it's a burial ground. Okay. And this was the second time we'd been there. And the first time we could only be there 15 minutes because it was just exhausting. And then the second time we went there, we're in the car. We got told to get out of the burial ground, got told to F off by the spirit box.
Oh, okay. So this is through the spirit box. Okay.
Yeah. So we thought we'll go sit in the car and we'll film in the car. And probably 5 minutes into it, my phone, which is a heavy kind of fold phone, flew across the dashboard and someone shook my car, rocked it. So, and there was no one around.
Oh gosh, so. That's not very subtle.
And when my friend
moving countries after that happening,
when she says
I'm living
scared,
back in England by then.
So yeah. Can I back you up a little bit, because this is me working through the mechanics of it. When you're saying, first of all, that it was kind of like draining in your energy, you were only able to be there for 15 minutes. What was that like? Explain to me physically what was going on for you.
There was like 100 people coming through trying to get this story through all at once. And my friend couldn't keep up or get them to go one at a time. So in the end, they threw my phone and rocked my car.
Okay, so they were throwing a tantrum, basically.
Yeah, it was like a tanty, yeah.
So I'm going to ask, because I know what a spirit, well, as in I say I know what a spirit box is, as in high level I know what a spirit box is, but for anybody listening who is not familiar with that term, that's obviously one of the key pieces of equipment that you use as part of your paranormal investigations. Can you give us a little snippet about that before we go into Lisa's story as well, just so we know what this is, because this is huge for you. This is something that you use for most of your investigations.
So it's a little radio device and just picks up on frequencies, and spirit are able to pick words out of the radio station and use them. So often we'll get full sentences from spirit, and we've got a lot of swearing from spirit. So we know that it is spirit because there's not swearing on the radio.
So it's kind of like tuning into, like, I mean, you're hearing all the different frequencies and you're trying to, do that manual tuning to a radio station. Okay. Yeah.
And we can kind of guess what era we're talking to by the words that are coming out as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Didn't think of that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's quite fascinating when
And Pru, just one last thing. By the time that the car rocked, surely you were scared.
Yes, because my friend was like, I don't know what that was. And it's like, if she's scared, I'm out of there.
Oh my God.
Nothing scares her.
Wow.
And this is why I think you have to do this work in pairs or groups. It's like to do that on your own. It's like, you need someone to talk you down and to keep you calm.
You couldn't do it on your own.
Scary.
What a story. Lisa, what's yours? Does it beat that one?
Well, maybe I've been lucky. I've not had any cars rocked on me or any phones fly across the dash or anything quite as dramatic as that. I've not been doing this as long as Pru's. He's got a lot more, experience as well. I suppose the thing that made me a little bit shocked, but I'm kind of bulletproof. I'm not too bad. I haven't actually seen anything yet, so I might change my mind to actually see something with my own eyes. But I've walked through what's called the veil. So that's like when you're walking along and you feel like you've gone through a cobweb, like a big spider web. So not those little webs that you get across trees, that they're just there. But I remember I was on an investigation tour, so I wasn't actually investigating at that point. And I remember walking down this long corridor, and it was in this old historic building where they hold tours. And I was walking along in a massive group. I was right in the middle of this group, in the middle of this huge corridor. People had walked past before me. I walked along, and I'm terrified of spiders. So, that's not great. Walked into what I thought was this massive cobweb. So I'm screaming and carrying on. And as I'm touching the cobweb, it disappears. And of course, I was kind of aware of spirit and things by then. And I remember thinking, and I literally felt it disappearing in my hands. Then I realized I think I've just walked through the veil, which is like literally a very thin veil between the spirit world and the physical world where we're currently living. And I feel like I was touched by the spirits because I'd had an experience in that building where, like Liz, you were talking about how you can walk into somewhere and you can get feelings. And I'd walked into this room previously absolutely fine by myself. I'd walked in with a male friend later on to do some investigating, and it was literally, I couldn't walk into the room. I had the same experience as you, and I couldn't see anything, but I got this overwhelming feeling of, it wasn't, hate or aggression, or they wanted to push me. It was literally, I got the feeling of, you should not be here because you brought a man with you. You're on the women's ward. He shouldn't be here. So I knew instantly it's because I brought him with me. So I apologized and I said, I'm really sorry, because you're dealing with people. They just don't happen to be living anymore. So then when I walked down the stairs, I walked through that, and then I realized that was almost like, that's okay, we accept your apology. It was like a goodbye, as we were leaving to go on to another building. I've had a spirit walk into me, so literally push past me. That was,
what did that feel like? You need to tell us them.
Yes,
what did it feel like?
I still can't quite wrap my head around it, but I remember I was standing, and it was in a jail this time, all the spooky places, and I was standing in a central corridor, and I had my back to pretty much to the wall, not on the wall because I don't like spiders, so I wasn't going to be flat to the wall, but nobody could walk behind me. And we're all standing there in this group, and we're investigating, and all of a sudden I had a backpack on. The backpack got nudged before I moved, so I knew it wasn't anything I had done, and then I literally got pushed, and it went, and the spirit went behind me and carried on down. I'm guessing he was checking cells. I felt like it was a cell guard, and he was checking cells, and it's like, you're in the way, you need to get out of the way. So I got pushed. So that was interesting, yes. But I've not quite as dramatic as what Pru had happened to her, but I think I'm just fascinated to actually experience whatever will happen. So I'm pretty open to experiencing anything. So yeah.
All of these stories are spilling back for me right now. One thing that's really noticeable for me when I go into a building that I say is haunted is that change in temperature. And I always remember my bedroom at my dad's house. It was a cold house anyway, but my bedroom used to be literally like sleeping in an igloo. And I was so petrified because I could feel so many spirits around me anyway, that I would sleep with every single bit of me underneath the covers. But I remember on a couple of occasions my covers being pulled down. And, this is only just coming back to me now as we're talking about it, because it was so traumatic. I think I blocked it out. And feeling like the coldness as I walk into my bedroom. Like, why do you think that difference in temperature happens?
I think it's just because their energy levels are different to us. I mean, if you think about it, we have a physical body that we have to inhabit before. When we pass over, we leave that body. So there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of heat being generated. But when you die, you leave your physical body behind, and you become a different energy form. And it may be also that they're using perhaps energy in the room to do things like move the bed covers, for example.
Yes. That makes, like, you think of, scientific brain, but it's like the transformation of energy. So you're taking heat energy, transforming it into, I need to be able to physically move this blanket, or physically, throw this phone across the dash. There could be something that they're manipulating energy in that way. Oh, I love all of this. It's like my mind is now exploding with all of these other possibilities. Because even as you're saying, Lisa, about, that it could have been a guard going in through and doing a cell check, I'm thinking, oh, was he alive in a different dimension, or was a different time frame, or was he actually a ghost? So now I'm already starting to think in a different way because of what you're kind of educating us on.
Yeah, and of course they may think that we're the ghosts. So sorry to blow your mind a bit further, but yes, they might think that we're the ghosts because we're in a different dimension to them.
Of course. Yes. So somewhere else there is a parallel podcast going on where they're talking about Lisa and Pru as interrupting their life and what they were doing. Yes. And there was this person in a car.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is fascinating.
What about animals? Do you ever walk into a building, get animals coming through that spirit box, or pick up any type of animal, ghosts knocking around?
I haven't myself, but Pru, you may have done perhaps. I'm not sure.
We've felt animals around us and tripped over them, obviously. We haven't got them through the spirit box, but we've actually had different cultures come through the spirit box. So they come through and tell us where they're from.
Wow.
Which is quite interesting. So we've had them from the UK, Germany. They'll tell you where they're from, Scotland.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even you're physically located in Australia, you will have things coming through from other places. So it's not specific to the location that you happen to be doing an investigation in. Okay. See, there's another thing. I assumed wrongly that, sometimes when you're going out, because a lot of your work, you're going to a specific site and you're tuning in there. But I guess it just shows that everything is available everywhere.
Also, Ballarat was a big gold field. So a lot of the people over here, the miners, and that would have been from the UK, Scotland, Germany, all those places. So so they're generally the ones we will probably pick up. So
Wow.
And what fueled this passion? Where does this passion come from, and what's the mission behind everything that you're doing, Pru?
Just to educate people that it's not all Hollywood and scary, and these are people that actually lived, and they still, deserve the respect and the truth to be told, I guess, their story. So if we can help get their story through, which we have been very successful with so far, then we'll continue to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually really inspiring. Don't you think, Diane?
Absolutely. And I think I just, you talk about the investigations that you do, and some of them, I guess, are fueled by your own curiosity. Do you also get engaged by other people to help them with an investigation, with something that they want to know about, or is it primarily your own work that you're doing?
We have done a few different things, haven't we, Lisa? We've done a personal little investigation for one of my dad's friends who was passing over.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice for him to know that there's something on the other side before he passed, and that his daughter was here waiting. So we're able to show him.
A lot of comfort in that. I've no doubt.
So it's just waking people up and getting people to stop thinking about it the way they've always thought about it.
I think there's so much sensationalism in this as well. I know that, recent episodes that we've done as well, we spoke to Ellen Edmondson around highly intuitive kids, and her son was on the Psychic Kids. It's a TV show in the US. And I remember when I was watching some of these things, that kind of really scary music and stuff that's going in, and it kind of perpetuates that feeling of you should be afraid of all of these things, when the reality is, okay, I'm not guaranteeing this, but the next time I'm lying in bed and somehow the covers start to get pulled off me, maybe I won't be as scared. I'm not guaranteeing it, but still, hopefully Lisa and Pru will go through my mind and thinking, this is just a human. It's fine, okay. Have a conversation with them, or have a chat about what's going on, rather than totally freaking out about it, because
they're trying to get your attention.
Do you feel that there's any, or have you experienced any I guess negative or malevolent intent in the spirits or ghosts that you have come across?
Definitely.
Okay. I was hoping for a different answer, but go ahead.
So we have a really cool spot that we like to go to, and Lisa and I filmed there, probably our first filming. So we'd been out there to check it out several times before we filmed, and it was a child institution place.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my heart.
So we got a very nasty priest and nun come through on several occasions, who won't be accountable. They won't tell their story. They won't let children through to tell their story. We get the same thing every time we go out there. And when we filmed out there, it was quite a bizarre night, wasn't it, Lisa? We had like a little cyclone come through as we were filming, just where we were standing.
As we were starting to ask the difficult questions, remember?
You could feel the energy change. You could feel it shift, and you knew they were watching. Like, you could feel them watching you. We haven't actually captured them on photo yet, but we know we have seen them and we've heard them, and we can just feel them staring at us every time we're there. So,
and what do you do in that circumstance? Like, is it a case of that, okay, we're not wanted, we're going to move on? Or do you feel I just imagine, like, in the real world, you feel compelled that I need to help people. Like, the normal thing is, okay, but
we're there for the children. Like, we just want to hear from the children. So it gets a bit frustrating for us. So they play games. and they'll give us so much information, and we know they're there, but then they just, they won't answer our questions, and it's a bit frustrating.
My heart is racing as you're saying this. Like, this is like, literally, I just think, and maybe it's, I guess Catholic Ireland you're talking about, that sort of, like, I know what that is like, and a lot of the horror stories that come with that, and just think that if that is still something that's being controlled in the afterlife, or after death, you just think, oh my gosh, that is not just a life sentence, that is it doesn't even bear thinking about. So whatever you can do, whatever you are doing, I imagine, I can only imagine that it is helping some souls in some way. Like, I mean, and clearly that's a driver behind you going back time after time, even though you know that you're not welcome there, and that you're having those experiences. Like, there's a lot to be said for the courage and the passion for what you do, that, whether it's a living soul or not of this world, like, you're still caring enough about them to be able to bring peace and comfort to them.
I almost feel, as we're talking here, that the message that I'm getting through about this is almost like that you guys are channels for healing when you're going out there and conducting these investigations. So, whether it be you're standing on that piece of land, or you're in a place that's had trauma, that there's some element of you just being there, being the healers in the room. Do you ever get the sense of that happening at all?
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, just being it's like it's an honor to do this work, to be able to help people. And even if, for example, the example that Pru gave with the the institution there, even if the kids aren't able to come through that time, they might be able to come through another time. But just knowing someone's there and is interested and is wanting to help them and is reaching out, that means something. And we may get to speak to the children one day, and that's our hope. That's why we keep going back, because and I don't know what Pru thinks, but I don't feel necessarily that any souls are trapped there. I just feel because it's somewhere that at some point they spent some time, when we turn up and they know why we're there and what we're doing, because spirit know a lot more than we realize that we could possibly know, that I think they come back to kind of stop the communication, so the children aren't trapped by these spirits. That's how I feel. I feel they're going off to somewhere peaceful, but we're trying to connect with them, because energetically we can do that. They don't need to physically be there, like Pru and I are standing there, because they're they're not in a physical body anymore. But the nun and the priest are coming back to say, nope, you can't do that. But if we keep persevering, and we're not scared of them, but like they're trying to make us fearful so we don't come back. But that's not going to happen. So
So do you physically see these entities manifest?
I can.
So Pru, you can you just tell me, like, what does a ghost look like? What does a spirit actually look like?
Sometimes they look like human form, which is like the last episode we did in the Gelong Gaol. So I actually saw him and described him. And sometimes they're just shadows, or they can be like little lights, or they can be that quick that you just don't know what you saw.
And I guess that's the flashes in the corner of your eye and the freaking out.
Now that I'm actually seeing physical spirits, I now realize that they've always been in my house. So all the little flash things that go around my house are actually people, spirits. So they're not.
Liz is not going to sleep tonight.
Oh, I'm not, because every night in our house, I freak my husband out just even being a medium anyway, but the blind is always tapping on the window, and all night we're like, what's that? Tonight's just going to be a sleepless night for me. I'll have to tell that ghost to go.
It's funny, because before coming on the podcast, I had come through my bedroom, and at the corner of my eye, I felt like I saw something that kind of whooshed past, and I literally thought to myself, cop yourself on, it's just because you're about to do an interview. It's like, and I was like totally dismissed it, even though I was thinking to myself, no, that was something. So now all of a sudden, when we tune into these things, and I guess for you, if you tune in, then you can see a little bit more. It's like that fine tuning every time you do it. You're building your muscle, you're building your capability, your capacity to be able to do more. And because this is where you choose to channel your work and your energy, then obviously it is, you're refining it more and more over time.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, like I haven't seen anything yet like Pru, but I have seen, like you said, Diane, flashes of light and
Yes.
things out in the corner. Yeah, and I swear that I did see a shadow person on one occasion, but it was so quick that you could talk yourself out of it. But yes, I see things in my mind's eye, so I'm very clairvoyant. So I won't see them with my physical eyes, but I will see things in my mind. Yes, it's interesting. So
I can imagine that would happen to me on a ghost hunt. I'd be freaking out. I'd be seeing all sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So like the fact I knew it was a cell guard going past me.
Yeah, but I do wonder too that, you know, just what you're saying there, Liz, it's like there's also a kind of like, you know, mediumship in general, that you have to be a little bit open to these things. And then obviously then when you are open, you know, you make a choice or a decision that you want to be a little bit more open or a little bit more open. Whereas if you're someone who's going in and thinking, no, I absolutely want nothing, you know, there's less like, there's still people that even though they don't want to see things, they still end up seeing it. But I do think that there is a lot of free will or just you choosing. So for you, Lisa, maybe you're saying Pru's doing this longer than you. So, you know, your time will come when you decide, yeah, bring it on. Show me everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but also I guess, you know, the universe or spirit gives us, you know, as much as we can handle at a point in time as well. Like I do firmly believe that. So, you know, some of this is, you know, okay, Lisa's really good at what she's doing. We don't want to scare her off. Let's just drip feed a little bit of this for a while, rather than, you know, thinking, no, we don't want you running out of you know, a haunted building.
Actually, you've got that completely spot on. That's exactly how I feel, that it actually just gently, you know, edging me in, not giving me too much. So you've actually hit the nail on the head there, Diane. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And
that gives me safe, because I think, okay, when I get into bed tonight, I'm like, I don't want to hear anybody, I don't want to see anything, nobody come pulling the blankets off me.
What's interesting to me, though, because, you know, I'm just going to say that there might be listeners tuning in right now and they're like, well, you know, you're all sat on the Spiritual as Fuck podcast and you guys are saying you're mediums and you guys are clairvoyant and rah. What a load of crap. Let's think about the naysayers right now, the cynics. Okay. What I found interesting was doing my research. I went on to your YouTube channel. As scary as I was thinking I'd find it, it was scary. What was so bloody interesting was the way that you collect evidence. Because yes, you can say you're a medium and a clairvoyant, and you know we are lucky that we have those gifts. But when you watch those videos, there's things that you just can't deny. And I remember a while back talking about these type of tools that are out there that you guys use. And one is as simple as one of those cat balls, which is a cat ball that basically when a cat nudges it or when anybody nudges it, it lights up. And, you know, you use that. And there's cat balls in the room with no one near it lighting up because they're being moved, you know. And again, the cynical go, oh, someone's behind the camera blowing it. But then there's someone speaking through this box. And, you know, I watched the one that you did at the Gelong Gaol. And it was really fascinating, I must admit. But Pru, tell us a little bit about what other type of equipment do you bring in to really prove to people and give people this evidence?
So we have the spirit box, which is the radio communicator. I have a REM pod, which lights up and flashes if something touches it or goes near it or the temperature changes. We don't get a lot of use of that. I think they like the old school stuff, which is the dowsing rods and the cat balls. And Lisa has an EMF detector, which sometimes they'll use. And yeah, we've got cameras and all different things like that, but we kind of haven't gone in to buy expensive stuff because we're kind of getting
what you need.
With what we have. And I think they really, obviously the older school spirits would know what a radio is or dowsing rods or something like that. So we feel that generally the older generation ones will use those. The more modern, younger people that have passed over will use your phone, use your, you know, so they've probably had that experience with using phones so it's different.
Can you talk a wee bit about
Can I just share one really quick thing here? It's so interesting you're saying that. Just like last week, I did this spirit communication for someone. And from even before I started, I was getting the message that I needed to do the reading on the phone. but just ignored it. And then I went on to then Zoom, and the Zoom suddenly was crackling. The voice was speaking at a different time. And I was like, sorry, we're going to have to do this on the phone. And the minute that I picked up the phone, the video and the Zoom went completely normal again. And it's just because the old lady wanted me to deliver the message by the phone. Hilarious.
None of that new technology, Liz.
Yeah, sorry for putting in there, Diane. I just needed to share.
No, it's funny because I was going to ask about the dowsing rods. So like I know, like I've used dowsing rods since very young. Like my dad used to do it, looking for water and ley lines and stuff like that. And I recently bought some myself again to get back into it. How do you use that? Is that to find certain hot spots, cold spots, or, you know, areas, or are you actually communicating and asking yes, no type questions of spirit? How do you use the dowsing rods in your investigations?
Yes, no, and we can actually use them to point out where they are in the room.
Of course,
or in the car.
Yes.
Or point to Lisa or point to Pru, and we can, you know, our rods, whatever you train them to do, they'll do.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. And it is some of the, you don't have to spend a fortune on getting some dowsing rods. It's like, that's an easy thing even to make up your own. It's something that's, you know, accessible to anyone who, because I am sure that there are loads of people who are listening to the podcast who they're fascinated. I know friends of mine who go on ghost tours and like, that's just their thing. They may not be into the other spiritual elements that we may talk about on the show, but this is their thing. This is the thing that absolutely fascinates them. So for them thinking, oh yes, I can go out and get some dowsing rods and I can go and, you know, there's this local place that they might feel is a little bit spooky, because the fact that you're saying that you're on your journey now for a year together, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, like, I mean, in a relatively short period of time now, of course, it's taken a lifetime to get to this point, but still a year doing this together. And so much of it is just your natural curiosity, your natural investigation, and the fact that you're kind of supporting each other to do it. So do you have any kind of pearls of wisdom or advice for anyone who is similarly inclined to you and is thinking that they want to get more actively involved in it? What guidance would you give to them, or pearls of wisdom?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
That's spot on, Prue. Yeah, because
don't be scared about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be scared of. If you know you're going to provoke bad things, then maybe it's bad. But we've got good intentions when we go out. So
okay, intentions.
That's right. Yeah. That's setting that intention and. Yeah. Going with for the right reasons. If you're going to, you know, provoke and carry on and try and anger and really kind of rile up the situation, then that will probably be what you'll get back. Or maybe you'll get nothing because no one wants to speak to you because they're like, well, they're just here to mess around. If you go with the right intentions, and it is so, you know, cheap to go and buy equipment. Like dowsing rods are not that expensive. You can get apps on your phone. You can buy the little cat balls. So anybody can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you need to go to anywhere particular? Like, where would you suggest people go to ghost hunt?
Anywhere,
yeah.
Go out on the street, go to a park, go anywhere that no one can see you. You don't have to actually go into buildings to get experience and investigations. People will come through everywhere.
Wow. I just think there's so many assumptions about, okay, we've got to go to a graveyard, or we've got to go somewhere that, you know, something terrible happened, or that there's, you know, it's, and maybe that's a mindset thing too, that, you know, if you are getting yourself into this, that you feel like you need to go somewhere like that's going to give you your best chance. But if everything is available everywhere, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I guess, Liz, for you being a medium as well, it's not a case of that you have to be in a specific place to be able to open up and connect with spirit. It's something that's available to you everywhere as well.
I mean, it'd be such a big fear to overcome at some point. I guess where I struggle with this is, you know, I can sit in my house through the day with the light streaming through, making a beautiful connection. And that type of connection feels like a big, beautiful, warm hug to me. But I think about going to do the same thing stood at 12 o'clock midnight in a dark graveyard. Completely different feeling. You know what I mean? I just can't see how it can feel still without fear. You know, I still feel like it would completely freak me out. I'd be the first one running out of there. with any type of like little noise. It really was.
Probably depends on who you go with.
Yeah. I think too, there's something, now this is me relating this to being like to someone who does coaching of speakers, like people who publicly go and speak on stage. And one of the things that I coach people through is the fact that if you're in your head before you get on stage and it's like, what if I forget my lines? What if I trip when I'm going on stage? And I'm just thinking about me and all the things that can go wrong, or I want to look really good. But if you shift your thinking into what is the difference I want to make in the world, what is, if there's one person that I can connect with, if there's a difference that I can make. So it's almost, Liz, if you thought about it differently and thought, if I'm just going there, the intention again is I'm going there to do good. I'm helping someone share their story, because I love the way that you had said that, Pru, that shifts your mindset in terms of being able to utilize your gift in a different way. But I know that, the world is full of, all types of different people, and we've all got different roles, different jobs to do, and we've all got different areas of strengths and expertise. So, Liz, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go off and be a ghost hunter in the morning or a paranormal investigation, or likewise for you, Lisa and Pru, that you're going to turn around and start doing what Liz does. It's the, what gives us a podcast in the first place is that there's such a wide variety to being, spiritual as fuck, and the manifestations of all of those different gifts and how you can connect with spirit in different ways. And I just think that for me is absolutely fascinating.
Sure.
And Lisa, Pru, it is Halloween today. Are you guys planning to do a Halloween paranormal investigation tonight?
For sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, any chance we could get any day of the week.
It doesn't have to be a special occasion. I do want to ask about, so, obviously Gelong Gaol is something that you do, you do investigations there as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Now, I know we have listeners all over the world, so we're not expecting that some people will be able to fly in and be able to, spend some time with you. But if there are people in the local area or local community or in Victoria in general that are interested in finding out about that, can you shed a little bit of light on the work that you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, we actually booked the jail to actually go and conduct our own paranormal investigation. So we had the whole jail to ourselves. And there's a couple of guides that came with us that we're still in contact with now. And you can do what we did. You can book and actually hire the jail out, so it's exclusively for you, or you can go on a ghost tour or paranormal tour, which is when you get to use some of the equipment, that kind of thing. And it's open during the day as a museum. It's a fascinating place. You can actually go in, and you go in as a museum, but it's not just a small section of the jail. You can go and actually look at the whole jail. So you can go in there, and some days you're by yourself. Like I've been in there on a day when I've had the whole place to myself. And you go into all the places that we went to. And I have to admit, I've cracked out some devices and had a little bit of a go when I've been there by myself. I've been a bit brave about it. But it's actually a fascinating place with lots of history, you've had convicts there, of course, that would have been brought over for minor things like stealing a loaf of bread or a newspaper, right up to people like you've got Mark Chopper Reed that was there for a while, some of the more well-known criminals, I guess, that were convicted for things that we would take more seriously now. They had a school in one part, I think at one point, boys or girls school. They had World War veterans and things that came in there as well. I think, I'm not sure the term, not prisoners of war, but whatever the term is. So it's had quite a colourful history, and it only closed in 1991. And that's not that long ago. That's for us, that's our living memory. And so you've got a whole plethora of different types of people that have come through for different reasons, different age groups, different ethnicities, backgrounds. So it's actually quite a big sort of cultural melting pot of potential people that you could come into contact with when you go to investigate.
And you mentioned a very famous Australian convict there with Chopper Reed. Have you ever had someone well-known come through in an investigation? Oh, Pru's nodding. Pru
can tell a bit more, because he actually came through in the jail, but Pru has had some prior interaction.
So I've had prior engagement with Chopper at Pentridge.
Prior engagement.
So we were quite excited to go to the Gelong Gaol and see if he rocked up there. And we feel like
if he rocked up.
Yeah, he definitely did. So spirit aren't trapped, they move around.
Oh wow. So. Tell us about that first interaction and how the hell you found out it was him.
So we walked into the Pentridge prison, and it was during COVID, so we got to go around by ourselves. And the minute we walked in, we got catcalled down to the end of the prison, and like there was no one down there, so we didn't know who catcalled us. So we went straight down to a cell that we just thought we'll just go into that cell because that feels right. Yeah, and it was Chopper's cell. So we spent about probably half an hour in there just chatting, communicating with him, and he didn't want us to leave. So he was talking through a little paranormal bear. So we walked around the prison with this bear, and it just communicated with us the whole way through the prison. And
okay, stop.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
It's like you're saying
That's
so
talking one.
this little, it's like, what is it?
And then we got to a certain gate, and I'm like, I don't want to go in there, to my friend. And I just felt, it was nasty in there. And we walked through it anyway with the bear, and the bear just shut down and died. It didn't want to be in there either. So
what is
and you
the
could
bear?
You could feel him just go, like he just left. You could physically feel him leave. So
what is the bear, Prue, when you say this little bear?
It's a teddy bear. So it's got a little thing inside it, so you can talk to it and it can answer back, like with just different random things, like a spirit box.
Oh, so it's got kind of like programmed things in it.
Yeah.
And a spirit can tap into it and make it say certain things.
So it kept telling me it liked to hold my hand.
Oh, I bet it did.
And it liked to be tickled.
Oh God. Yeah, that's
Which
tough for
made
me
it
for
worse.
sure.
So is this actually like a child's toy that
No,
you
it's
bring?
a paranormal toy.
So it is
Yeah.
actually a tool. Okay, because I was thinking, okay.
Yeah, that sounds really dodgy. Some type of bear that talks.
But we captured his orb coming through the gates. We captured it in his cell. And when I asked if it was him, it said yes, it was him. And you could just feel his presence there.
Wow.
So.
And what did he feel like? Was there an element of fear then?
No. Like, yeah, he's just a jokey guy. Like, he just wanted to talk and have a chat, and he had two ladies in his cell, so of course he was going to hang around.
He made his day.
Them. And for any of our international listeners who don't know who it's Mark Chopper Reid, just go and Google it, so at least then you get a feel for what Prue is sharing with us. But yeah, notorious here in Australia, well known by everyone.
Wow, that is just absolutely crazy. That's actually really hilarious. I love that story.
I know. And the fact that it was so jokey and
yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, I keep feeling something now. I'm freaking out. Now, I'm sure everyone that is listening is kind of like, where on earth can I watch these bloody videos? Lisa, tell us where we can find you, because I know that everyone is going to rush to YouTube right now.
Okay, we are on YouTube as Paranormal 1111. Our handle is at pnormal 1111. That's right. And we also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and under those names as well. Yeah, we've just started our own channel up. We've got a third episode coming soon onto the channel, and yeah, it's so we're really accessible. We try and post as often as we can, and not every day, but we are trying to put up content that's relevant, you know, and that, like, as you said earlier, Prue, we want to educate people, so we want to show them what it's really like to actually investigate, and for the people to know that they're actually speaking to people that once had, you know, physically lived like we are now. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. And I highly recommend everybody go and check these videos out. It really does change your opinion, actually, on what happens on something like this. And I have to kind of secretly admit it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I will be scared tonight, but it's not as scary. So it's actually really interesting, and we'll definitely share some of the videos through our socials, and all of your social media handles and everything we will put in the show notes as well, so everybody can head there. So yeah, thank you so much, Lisa and Prue. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board for Halloween today.
Thank you.
For anybody listening, Diane and I thought we should do a little bit of a competition over the next week, and the competition is going to be who can scare us the most. What we want you to do is share your personal ghost stories. You might be sat at home nodding along thinking, holy shit, I once took a photograph, or you might have a video yourself of something absolutely unexplainable, or you may have one of those brilliant ghost stories that you just want to share, and we want to hear them all. So what we've decided to do is ask you to send anything in, and on a daily basis, we are going to choose one with the help of Lisa and Pru, and we're going to post it on our Instagram at spiritual.a.f. And at the end of the week, we're going to decide which was the scariest. And whoever scared us the most are going to receive a couple of tickets for our next channel event, and may even throw you in a reading for you as well, just to say a big thank you. So that should be fun. So thanks, ladies, for taking part in that with us as well. So yes, please share them. Keep investigating this type of stuff, ladies, as well. I think that this just really opens a completely different avenue, as Diane said earlier, than we've really explored before. So it's just been a really great look. And you've reframed everything in my head. What do you think, Diane?
Yeah, I just feel that yes, you mentioned about educating, consider mission accomplished. So you have definitely educated both of us, and not just us, the people who listen to this podcast as well. And it is the reframe. I like that you use that word, Liz, because it's something that now we don't need to be as afraid of. And also the assumption that not everything that you might interact with might be dead. That possibility that there could be just a parallel universe, a parallel dimension that is going on as well. But everything that you're saying is, yes, some of it has been scary. I would probably be scaredy pants doing some of it, but I will still take away the fact that should I encounter something like this, you will be in the back of my mind thinking, you can handle this. It's going to be okay. Nothing too bad is going to happen. You're going to survive this. So there's no need for the fear that kind of perpetuates through a lot of the Hollywood, horror movies and things like that we watch. So the more we can educate people with these, just means that people will start to open up to things, and they will be a lot more curious about what is out there. And that's part and parcel of what we do on this show. It's like we want to encourage people to be curious, encourage people to do their own investigations, treat things like an experiment, and just continually educate yourself. There is so much more out there than what, meets the 3D eye. There's definitely so much more that we want people to be engaged with. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and with our listeners.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, please go onto Spotify, open the Apple Podcast or wherever you are listening, and click follow. And definitely head straight to Instagram to ensure that you are involved in our spooky competition for the next week. I think it's going to be fun. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we cannot wait to hear from you soon.
That's it for another episode.
Thank you for listening. Did you know that we are building a movement of 1 million people who are spiritual as fuck? We would love for you to join us. You can start by leaving us a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I'm going to intuitively choose one person and do a psychic reading for you. So
follow us on Instagram, send in your stories and topic suggestions, and join the movement
at spiritual.a.f. Until next time.
This is a Guide Your Light Network production, creating podcasts with purpose.